I'm Chris Gekker, professional trumpet player since the age of 19, which was many, many years ago. My career has occurred mostly in New York City and here in Washington, D.C., about 20 years in each city, and I've traveled the whole world, playing all kinds of music, everything from rock, jazz, classical, orchestral, chamber, baroque. Like most trumpet players, I started early, in grade school. And I thought about other things, like I was very interested in science. But as I went to college, I started playing trumpet more and more, and actually got a job as a trumpet player while in college. So in a sense, the profession chose me, but I've been very fortunate and feel very lucky for that, and loved it ever since. Explaining the kind of music I like the most is very difficult, because I like playing all kinds. I have done every kind of genre you can imagine. I grew up in a house with two European parents, and in my house growing up there was always Mozart, Brahms, Schubert being played. Once I stepped outside the door as an American kid in the 1960s, I was hearing soul music, The Temptations and James Brown, and I started playing in bands very early. So I got interested in soul music, rock music, jazz, and then I always had the classical music being played, and I really grew up with these sort of dual or multifaceted experiences, and have grown up in all these traditions. So when I play these kinds of music, it really is coming from inside. Most of my hopes and dreams involve my children, who are both in college, and hopes for their future. I would hope that they're happy and safe. Years ago, I would do a lot of studio work and a lot of movie soundtracks, and I was contracted to do Primary Colors, which was a movie with John Travolta. And I had hurt my lip that week, and it was very difficult for me to play the trumpet. But I took the job because I wanted to work. I showed up early to the recording studio, hoping to grab the lowest trumpet part. I was there and called into the booth by the contractor, and I thought, oh no, they've got a special trumpet part for me to play. I walked in there and he said, you know, today we are recording music which is supposed to be the music of an amateur brass band out in the countryside, and we need you to play badly today. Can you do this? And I looked at him and I said, yes, I can do this. And all day we recorded, and I would have a hard time playing, and they kept saying, I can't believe how you can make yourself sound like someone who can barely play the trumpet. And I left that day thinking, I got away with one, and something really bad is going to happen to me now because it was too lucky. And that's one of the funnier recording stories I have.
Do you wish you were someone else?
No, I don't. Playing the trumpet makes me very happy, and being a musician makes me very happy. At the same time, I am my own worst critic, and there are many days that I disappoint myself. I have to be honest about that. But I always do enjoy it and dream about playing the trumpet. After so many years, I still am grateful when I have time to practice and to work on things, and I love music, I love the trumpet, so I feel very fortunate in that way.
So if you have another chance, how do you do it this time?
I'm not sure what another chance really means, because there's just so many times something happened, and when I got a call to audition in New York City for a big job when I was in my 20s, I was doing another kind of job, and they tracked me down. This is in the days before, voice message machines, and it was almost an accident I got this call, and I went to New York to audition for a position that was, being competed from all over the country. And a month later, I'm in the recording studios and doing, some very, some activities that I couldn't dream that I was doing before. So I can't imagine, if I had not been, but if I had not found that phone call, I'd be doing something else and being fine. I wasn't unhappy where I was, so it wasn't like it saved me. But life is strange, and these things happen, and it's just hard to imagine if it went another direction.
What would you say to a doubtful trumpet player?
if you play really well, people do want to hear you play. Music careers are strange for the most part. They're existential in a sense. They grow from many different parts. That's why it's sort of infuriating to sometimes explain to someone what you do as a musician, because you explain, it's not like saying I do this job and that's what I do. It's hard to understand, but it is possible. And I've taught many students who are, very successful, raising families themselves. I could write a list pages and pages long. So there is musical activity, and there is opportunity for people who do play well. And the last thing I tell them is that good luck occurs when training and opportunity intersect, so be prepared. The opportunities you get will be sudden and unexpected, and just be ready. And life is difficult for everybody. No one travels an easy road, and the road of a musician is a tough road, but it's a lucky road. We're very fortunate to do what we do.
Tell me where you see yourself among the other players.
I don't really, I'm lucky enough to be very busy and occupied. I really never have any time off unless I deliberately take it. So, and I don't sort of promote myself. It's just, I do what I'm asked to do. I have done certain projects on my own, but for the most part, I am just fulfilling what I'm being asked to do, and feel very fortunate about that. And I have great colleagues to work with. I honestly don't compare myself to other players. There's room for me and there's room for them, and it's just fine that way. The competition I feel is with myself. I'm trying to do better all the time.
What is the best performance of your career so far, if there is one?
I can't name one. I can name some very memorable concerts, and some of them are pretty obscure. There's a piece I recorded in Boston years ago, a chamber piece called Lyric Trio for trumpet, cello, and piano. I remember doing it at a concert where it was one of those nights that everything seemed to happen automatically in the most sort of intimate, expressive way, and an audience that was not that conditioned to new music gave us a standing ovation. That was very, very memorable. Playing the Beethoven 8th and 9th Symphonies with Roger Norrington in Carnegie Hall, an amazing night. The Christmas Oratorio with musicians from Marlborough in Carnegie Hall, another one. My experiences in Carnegie Hall, in Marlborough, many falls up there, doing Bach in the barn up there. A lot of traveling. I've done something like 14 trips to Japan, many performances over there that I can really remember. I have very dear friends over there, also in Europe and Italy, Spain. Too many to mention. And I could give you a nice list of stinkers too, I'm afraid.
Last question. Yes. What are you planning to do when you're done with the trumpet?
Well, I can't imagine. I can't imagine retiring, and I imagine that the pieces I play will limit themselves as I get older. I'm already at an age where many people stop playing the trumpet. Trumpet is a very strenuous instrument, and I'm older than most trumpet players. But I'm, feel fine and everything's going well. I can imagine limiting the repertoire and the kind of music I will play as I get older, but that day isn't here yet. I can't imagine not playing. I just simply can't. I have one that was sticking tonight, so I'm kind of like, I'm figuring I have to work on it later.
So you don't know what you're going to do after you retire?
I can't imagine retiring. I'm a full professor at university, so basically I can stay until I fall over, I guess. I
meant performing.
Performing, at some level, I'll keep playing. At some point I can imagine just playing in a very sort of private way. you know, a good friend of mine in England was talking about, he says, I'm not, is kind of an English sense of humor. He says, I'm not so much semi-retired as more like semi-required. In other words, he was getting asked a lot less. That day comes for all of us. So I have gotten it out of my system, though. I mean, it hasn't much, I haven't really left anything on the table. So.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
You're happy.
It's a complicated question and a simple answer to a complicated question, but yes, I feel very fortunate to be a musician, yes.